We want to get started on time because we've got a lot to cover. We do have some refreshments over here. We have agendas on the back table. We also have some post-it notes and pencils on all of the tables and some on the back. For those of you who perhaps haven't been up on this floor, bathrooms are just along the hall. The ladies right by the stairs, and then the men's further along towards, further along the other end. So, first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for coming and showing up. While this is a public meeting, we seek to prioritize the questions and voices of currently enrolled families. While this be a public meeting, there is no legal prohibition on recordings. That said, we want to maintain an environment where people feel safe sharing. So just be aware of that if you are recording. We also would like everyone to just keep in mind that we are a small school community. So be very conscious of avoiding using children's names or just identifiers. Sometimes you don't have to name the child because everyone in the community knows who it is. Be conscious of that. And I've got a few introductions to do. Tonight we have with us Jess Sabin-Barton, who's Director of School Quality and Accountability with the Washington State Charter School Commission. Thank you. Agendas on the back table if you want to pick them up. We have Jeanette Vaughn is with us. Jeanette Vaughn is from the Washington State Charter Schools Association. Thank you for volunteering to be our timekeeper tonight. I'd like to thank the PCM staff who've shown up to show their support of our school community. I'd also like to call out a special thank you to Theo, who was the younger elementary instructional assistant, Michael, the office assistant, and Scott, the bus driver, who are currently downstairs providing childcare so that as many families as possible could come to the meeting. And thank you all for showing up and showing an interest in PCM. I just want to start by acknowledging that the email communications that have been going around are likely very, very unsettling. I want you to know this was a breach of professional school protocol. And I just want to remind as well, when you are sharing things, please be conscious of sharing something that may have other children's names in them. We'd like you to be just considerate of that. I'd like you to know that we called this meeting tonight because we thought it was important to give parents updates in person, as well as in the letter we sent last week. And we wanted to provide a space where people could ask questions and share concerns. I want you to know that tonight is about updates, questions, and suggestions that will be taken back to the full board. We are not in quorum. I'm the only board member present representing the board. And so this is, I just want you to know that no decisions will be made in this setting. The information that we receive this evening, including questions that are brought to us, questions that are shared, which wall should we have them stick on?
Probably this one is fine.
Okay, so we also have post-it notes, so all of the questions that we perhaps can't get to, or if you're more comfortable sharing that, they will all be shared with the full board, along with the recap that we're going to send out of the main points of this meeting. I just want you to know that we've been working with this employee for several months and have worked to resolve many of the issues raised in the email communication. And we're just going to go through the main concerns that we picked out from the emails that were going around, or from concerns that were expressed to us from this employee. So we're going to start with student safety. And I'm passing the mic over to Layla, who is head of school, to talk about safety.
Okay, so again, I'm going to start by addressing some of the safety concerns that were raised, and I'll specifically kind of use examples as the bathroom availability and protocols, and exposed pipes as examples. So whenever we have a concern that's presented to us or identify something as a team, we initiate a process of reflection and then look into our protocols of what we need to do and how it needs to be changed. For example, to give you some background, the bathroom availability and protocol, all classrooms in our school, with the exception of the older elementary classroom, have bathrooms inside the classroom. So when students need to use the restroom en masse, though, for example, when we take a library trip, they do use the public restrooms on the floor that they're on, and a PCM staff member monitors to ensure that the bathrooms are suitable and that they have all students out of them. With the older elementary specifically, we have a different protocol. There was a bathroom that was supposed to be installed in that room. They just moved into their new classroom following winter break, and the project was complex enough that they were not able to get it installed on time. So we worked with Gladys to identify a different bathroom that they could use that was closer than the public bathrooms that are down the hall from that, just past the preschool. So we identified a single-use bathroom, and students use a specific protocol on going in doubles, and they must sign out on a bathroom sign-out sheet, and they take the hall pass with them, and then the next group can't leave until that group comes back, and the instructional assistant in the classroom monitors that. There are also cameras in the hallway that monitor the hallway. As far as the hot pipes are concerned, this issue was presented for about a week, and this is when we moved the older elementary classroom in. We had the room inspected. That's what we have to do before we can gain occupancy to the room. And we did receive that occupancy certification. It wasn't flagged by the building inspector, fire marshal, or anything at that point. When it was presented to us on the 17th as an issue, we went down and temperature checked the pipes, and we went through things with the students to ensure that they weren't touching them, rearranged the classroom, and used signs to make sure that they were not easily accessible. And then we worked with Gladys and the contractor and put in an immediate request to route the pipes. Those actions were taken by the contractor, and the pipes were wrapped, so it was no longer an issue. And then you want to transition it to
Emily, is it you going next? Yep, I'd like to introduce Emily, who's the Director of Special Services, and she's going to address some of the concerns that were expressed around special education.
Yeah, hi, thanks Bev for the introduction. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Emily. I'm the Director of Special Services here and the 504 Coordinator. I've been with PCM since its opening day. So for as far as PCM and our role with special education, we are very dedicated to ensuring all students with disabilities receive a free and appropriate public education, as is required by the law. And PCM adheres to all students' IEPs when they come in, or students that we put, that we put students on IEPs, or their Section 504 plan. The school provides the level of support and accommodations set forth for each of our students with disabilities according to their plan. Speaking specifically to the older elementary classroom, there are no students with IEPs that require one-to-one support. In fact, none of our classrooms, or excuse me, none of our students in our classrooms have that or have come in with that from outside districts. We provide a push-in support is provided to ensure service minutes are met, and the SPED collaboration takes place with all teachers once a week. That occurs, and that specifically occurred with older elementary as well. If individual parents have questions about special education, Layla and I are happy to follow up, and you guys can reach out to me. We're available, so feel free to reach out to me, and I can help you answer any of that.
I think it's me next. So I'm going to go on and just give an overview of some of the concerns that were raised around workplace environment. PCM is committed to a positive and productive working environment free from discrimination, including sexual harassment, and investigates all reports it receives regarding allegations of sexual harassment, according to the school policy and applicable federal and state law. Investigations are processed by PCM's Title IX officer, Jared Kuhn, our counsellor, who has the responsibility of maintaining an environment free of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. All investigations conducted within the past year have been undertaken in accordance with school policy, federal and state law, and under the guidance of legal counsel. I also now want to move on to address the board is aware of a petition circulating regarding school leadership, and I'd like to let you know how we're going to address that. So first of all, we respect our community's right to voice their opinion. The board is working closely with the administration to ensure any lingering concerns are addressed, and that we run the best possible school for students. I want you to remind everybody that it is the board's role to oversee the work of the head of school, to evaluate them and hold them accountable. So, the full board will continue to discuss this issue, or will discuss this issue at our next meeting. We will be calling a special meeting, and then we will announce the date and time of that meeting as soon as possible, as soon as we know that we can have quorum. I do, however, want to remind you that personnel issues are always discussed in executive session, and this will be no exception. So we will go into executive session, we will thoroughly discuss, we will use things like the petition, past head of school evaluation reports, look at job description. Once we've done that and come to a decision amongst ourselves about what action will be taken, we'll come out of the executive session, come back into the regular session and report on our findings. And if any action is going to be taken, it will be taken in the regular board meeting where the members of the community can be present. No action will be taken in the executive session. We'll keep you up to date if there's any additional changes to leadership or staffing. And I also want to let our community know that our board is trying to grow. We have received a recent application, and I'm really thankful for that, but we are open to hearing or having you contact us and find out more about serving on the board. Okay, so we are actually ahead of schedule. Gosh, that's probably the first time that's ever happened in my life. Sorry. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the Q&A, and I'd like just to go through some norms. We have them on the back of the agenda, or you want to flip over. We're going to have Desiree will be circulating with the mic. Thank you, Desiree, for being on that duty. As I mentioned, we're going to have a timekeeper. That might seem a little bit rigid. We've got 2 minutes, but we want to hear from as many people as possible. So we just want to get as many of you on the mic as possible. As I've already mentioned, there are other ways to share. You can use the post-it notes. If you would like a response to the question or the suggestion, the concern you pose, please add contact information. Otherwise, it's not required. It's just if you want us to reach out. So here are our norms. We ask that we use respectful dialogue, that we keep students' interest and privacy at the forefront. Please limit your time to 2 minutes. If you've asked a question, please let other people have a chance to speak before you ask another question. We also want to be really respectful of your time, the time of our staff, and we want to get you out of here on time. So if we don't get to you, there are other ways that you can reach out. As I said, post-it notes, we've included the board email address on the agenda, and if for any reason you have to pick this up on the way in, you can pick it out on the way out, and you can reach us that way. So, have I missed anything out? I think, no? Okay, so with that being said, we are going to open the floor. You do not have to come up at front. You can just raise your hand, and Desiree will be cycling, and then Jeanette is going to wave her hand when your 2 minutes are up.
Or I could say time, if it's not too intrusive.
Yeah.
So if I'm supposed to hold it?
I promise to be respectful with the time. Can we?
I've got a, I'm sorry.
Sure, just do it, yeah.
Just hold it or hand it?
You can hold it. You just hand it to
Want
him.
me to hand it? Okay, I'm confused, sorry.
We'll trust everyone.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you.
fine. No.
I mean, I drove a car here.
I
think
know.
Okay, so first off, I just wanted to start to set the tone for Q&A. So first off, regarding the petition to remove Ms. Buick as PCM's head of school was reactive. However, it did represent something tangible, really anything we could do to provide some semblance of agency among the community. The petition still represents significant disquiet and discontent. Regarding Mr. White's dismissal, the recent dismissal of Mr. White is not the main reason we are here tonight. However, his abrupt and unexpected dismissal was the catalyst that precipitated our media involvement. We are not here tonight to debate whether Mr. DJ's dismissal was righteous or warranted. Rather, we are here tonight to acknowledge issues that have been brewing quietly under the surface since PCM's inception. We are here to be heard and to inspire action. I yield my time.
Thanks. One process in the back.
Can I just say, we would like to, are we going to go, it's okay?
Just go ahead. When she first raised it, there was one in the back.
Okay, you're doing great.
Alright, actually, this is a question. I've had concerns brought to me by more than one student. But there has been other kids coming to students specifically telling them nobody likes them and they wanna kill themselves. How are we gonna handle this?
I am going to answer that question. We do aim to have an environment that's free of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And so I want to know if that has been reported to the school. Do we know about it? If it hasn't, we really encourage you to just put it in writing, and even you saying it. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, so I don't know who, and I don't need your name, but we will follow up. We have an officer whose duty it is to do that. We have a counselor who works with students in individuals and in small groups and class to try and make this a bullying-free environment.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a continuation of grant statement. I would like to say that this statement has been created by more than 30 families and is being presented on their behalf. We want to emphasize the importance of transparency and accountability within our school community. After much thoughtful review and considerations of the messages that we have received from the PCM administration and the school board, many of us still have significant concerns regarding our children's physical, emotional, and physiological safety at school. We are concerned with the lack of transparency from administration and the school board, the high staff turnover in the 2.5 years that the school has been running, and the state of finances at PCM. Our shared experience strongly indicates that PCM is in a state of crisis. Although many of us do not feel it a safe environment for our children to return to at this time, we are committed to seeing if we can be a supportive part of the change that is needed. As things currently stand, to keep a number of the family's children enrolled at PCM, we need the administration and the school board to actively partner with parents, staff, and community to make tangible changes as we move forward. If enough families disenroll and are no longer at PCM because of these issues, and there are many at this point, it is likely that PCM will not be able to survive financially and will close. We want PCM to survive. We want a choice for our families and our community. And in reality, this is a wake-up call to the administration and the board. Too many voices and families of previous employees and children and families have been ignored or completely silenced for too long.
Thank you for taking our questions and for hosting tonight. There's a real financial concern facing PCM, and if no changes are made, I just want to know how can we trust that the school is going to be around to support our community and our kids. So I just want to know, what are those action items? What's going to happen?
Thank you. So I'll give a little bit of background just for context. Charter schools in the state of Washington, starting a charter school is no small feat. Charter schools are really not financially solvent on their own for the first almost 5 years of operation. It varies by charter school. The expectation is that by year 5, the charter school is financially stable on like general state funding. So during those first years of startup, the schools have to secure grants, and other outside philanthropic funding to be able to operate. We are confident in the school continuing operation, but as any school has to do, we have to always stop and pivot and make sure that we are examining our long-term plan. Sometimes that can mean model adjustments. Every charter school has to make sure that they are, also modeling for school closure. Like that is just a reality for charters in Washington State. So we work with a group, chief financial support group, to be able to do all of this strategic planning, and that's what we will continue to do. What I can also say confidently is that the students that we have at PCM are safe and welcome, and we do everything within our protocol and practices to reflect and continually make changes to meet the needs of our growing population.
I do have a quick follow-up, and I really do appreciate your response. I appreciate the reassurances, but I just want to be clear that there's no altering the current plan. There's no intention to deviate from what is current to make changes.
That's always something we have to look at. Every school has to do that. When you're modeling out, and the reality is when you plan to open a school, you have a set plan for that. But you have to remain responsive to feedback from the community needs. You have to remain responsive to enrollment and growth. Is it hitting the targets that you had originally set? if it's not, you're always continually going back and reevaluating and figuring out what needs to be done. If there are any changes to the model, that is going to be an immediate communication with the community, to thought partner and also to inform the community that these are the type of changes that we're having to make and we're having to look at.
I'll pass them on.
Oh, sorry.
I just want, while the mic's getting passed, also just want to add that our financial reports are reviewed by our finance committee, and they're always included in our board package, which is available through our public portal on our website. So you can always go in there and, keep check of the finances. And our finances are reviewed virtually every board meeting. Thanks.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm not as prepared as a few others. I'm just a concerned parent. So one of the biggest things that we have heard over and over again is the lack of transparency. I don't know how to not make this personal. My daughter's first day of school, I had to hide her and her sister in a handicapped bathroom during a school shooting. When I brought up safety concerns with the building, even just getting blackout curtains for Miss Jill's classroom on the front, I was told that it would be brushed under the rug, and I needed to come to a committee meeting. Once again, those minor things that we were able to make a difference, that would just give us a little bit more safety for our students, was once again swept under the rug. I understand that Montessori has 4 critical C's, 4 C's, one of them being critical thinking. My daughter came home from school saying that her teacher told them that they were not allowed to say no to her. How are you expected to get my child to critically think when in that situation it is abuse of power and authority? I want my daughter to be a free thinker. I want her to think critically. But when she is told that she is not allowed to say no to the teacher and she's witnessing things in the classroom that are indescribable, that makes any parent angry and upset. I don't know how you're going to resolve this. You advocate for anti-bullying, but I see a lot of things going on inside of the classroom that are not okay. How do you plan to get all the teachers on the same page just as far as lockdown protocol? Because once again, I was lied to about that, what your procedures were. And when we had our first lockdown, my daughter was re-traumatized because she was told that there would be no alarms. I can't properly prepare her when you guys aren't transparent with us.
Can I just answer that? It's like, would this be helpful as a parent if you knew what the lockdown drills were? Okay. I hear you. You want to know what the lockdown drills are?
I asked before we even entered the school what they were. And I was lied to, and so when we had that lockdown drill, or when there was a gentleman that came around and unfortunately took his own life, my daughter came home saying that there were alarms that were going off, and obviously had been in a school shooting previously, and there were alarms going off the entire time that re-traumatized her. I was told that there would be no alarms. So I ill-prepared my child, which then in turn caused problems at home. We need transparency.
Okay.
I'm not sure I need that, but hey, I apologize. My name's Caleb. I've been up for 24 hours, so I'm a little bit loopy. But in general, I'm very concerned that we had a problem, actually a list of 4 concise problems were brought to our attention, regardless of the source. I don't care whether it's a teacher or a meth dealer. I think the problems were pretty well laid out. What we've heard in numerous lengthy emails and today with really no urgency or contriteness is that everything's fine, the system is great. Now, I think most of us can see that it is not great. The system is not working, procedures not working, policies are not working. So either you're ignorant of the school you're supposed to run, which I understand, it sounds a little confrontational, I don't think that's the case, or you're gaslighting and trying to minimize the issue, and that's concerning too. That indicates a lack of respect for our intellect, our engagement in the system, the reports from our children. So I want to ask you guys to look internally, all right, without answering out loud. Are your staff happy? Do you have adequate staff? Are the facilities good in this ancient crumbling building? Is there sufficient money to fix them in a time and fashion? If not, communicate, all right? If this were a food service establishment, I found fingernails in the fry sauce consistently. I don't care if it's gonna get fixed in 6 months, I want it fixed today. We're telling you metaphorically that there are fingernails in the fry sauce. That's unacceptable. So when you spend our time telling us that the system is good and it's working, it's gonna be fixed, that's not okay. That's not leadership. It's not how grown-ups should talk to each other. Okay, so, I'm really disappointed in what I've seen so far. You do not have my trust right now. I would like you to earn it back. You can't do that if you're gonna continue to try and sell us a used car.
Hi, my name is Corey. I've worked at the school here. I worked in September and a little bit in October. I did a trial basis as a sped IE, the 2 weeks before Christmas break.
Could you put the mic a little closer?
Okay,
Because I
thank you.
can't hear you very well.
I said I worked at the school here. I chose at the end of my 2-week sped IA period, it was a trial period, to not take the job and stay at home with my younger son as a language delay, kind of work with him on that. But I've had a chance to get to know all the staff here. I think we have a really strong body of staff here who really is dedicated to the work that they do. I'm an educator myself. I've had 20 plus years of experience coaching, teaching, being a teacher trainer. But yeah, jumping on someone's here comment. I have my concerns, and I do think there are things that definitely need to be addressed in this model that aren't working well from what I see. So a lot of it does to me center around special ed, and the school is doing a full inclusion model, right? I know that Ms. Emily's mentioned that nobody requires one-on-one services at this point. But from what I saw in the class, that should be questioned. I don't know what the criteria is for that, but there are behaviors on a loop repeating themselves. And you know, kids lashing out with violence, and that becomes a regular routine. Some days staff don't come, there's not an IA to, sit there next to that kid and monitor, and they lash out, somebody gets hurt, maybe so hurt. Hopefully nobody's been hurt too severely. But yeah, staffing has been an issue, and the staff know that, I know that, or admin up here know that too. Yeah, even with full staffing of IAs, my impression is there's still not enough staff to deal with behaviors. And getting down and actually working academically with students is limited because you're constantly dealing with behaviors. And our beautiful counselor over here, Jared, he has been turning into a cop essentially. Which all he does is go deal with behaviors, and that's not fair to him and his job. And that's just what I want to say. We need to re-examine the full inclusion.
Jumping off of that, my child in particular has had issues since he started here, so for a full 18 months now, with one child who is continually hurt, continues to say mean things. I understand that that child has a right to be at school, but my child has a right to feel safe at school. And I know that my child is not the only one experiencing issues with anyone, and in this child in particular. So my question is, what is the school's policy in handling children who are continually violent or mean or prone to outbursts? And if a child requires restraint, but there is no one there certified to do that, what happens then?
Thank you for your question. We appreciate your guys' investment. So I can speak to the partnership that we have with our state partners who are actually just here today. We have had staff members who have gotten restraint trained. So it is required by law for anyone to that needs to put their hands on a child. It's required by law for them to go through a full restraint training. And our state partners who have been with us and who have come on site and have been in our classrooms, and they've been in direct collaboration with myself and provided coaching to all of the staff at PCM are here, and they train for that. As far as the students who are who experience different challenges behaviorally and have different challenges with their executive functioning, they are provided supports. And your question to what to happen if somebody in the room who is not restraint trained in the classroom, the protocol is that the staff member is to text the group or call the Nautilus team, and the Nautilus team who is restraint trained can come in. They are also, any staff member can hold hands, so they are able to hold hands. They're also able to block, and all of our staff have received training for de-escalation as well as Nautilus. So they are able to interfere in that point. They just can't go hands-on other than holding their hand. And then as we have 4 fully trained people who who have restraint training that are able to come and respond when we have those challenges.
But what if it's the same child repeatedly? Is there a policy in which a child is removed from the school? I'm not saying that person should be, but is that a thing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. When we get more than 3 instances of a behavior, then we will meet as a team to identify, like, is this, what's triggering this behavior, why is it happening? So we do a full team meeting to analyze what needs to be done. We'll come up with a plan. Usually this involves a partnership with the family at this point to find out more information. It initiates what's called the child study process to find out more information and develop a plan for that kiddo. And then we'll monitor instances. If it's decreasing, we will have to remove the child from the room at times. We have had to do ISS. We do it in alignment with our behavior matrix and what the plan is that we've had to develop as a team.
Yeah, well, can I just add one other piece? So as far as the communication for if a Nautilus lead or a restraint trained individual is needed, our classrooms are supported by special ed staff. So there's myself as well as paraeducators, as well as our amazing counselor who provides services as well. And so oftentimes, many times, classrooms already have somebody in there, and so a text or a call isn't necessary, but it is on a basis in case we do need someone to come in. But there is often already somebody in the room to be available for that.
And that does
ISS,
change.
oh sorry, I was going to say ISS is in-school suspension, because that was mentioned.
Yeah, and that does change by year. So this year we have, I think it's 5 restraint training staff, whereas last year we didn't have a counselor and we had 2.
Last year we had
restraint
2,
training class.
and next year we have 4.
Yeah. So we continually assess what the needs are based on our student population, and try to staff that accordingly.
So I will say I can share the concerns about bullying because of, stories that I hear not only from my child but other parents. But one thing that does come to mind is hearing, what Layla is saying the process is. I can attest personally that last year when my son was experiencing problems with bullying and it was brought to our attention, we did raise the issue to the teacher and it was handled promptly and in exact accordance with what Layla is sharing. And so for us, it's like, if the problem wasn't fixed overnight, you can't fix problems like that overnight, but it was very reassuring to know that we were in it together and that it was supported. And eventually that child and my son ended up forming a positive relationship, and it went from not wanting to be near each other to actually wanting to be friends and helping each other.